Hello all, let's perform an Arch Linux installation with SystemD-Boot and SystemD-NetworkD. First thing we can do is we can check for a network connection. So if you are on like wired connection, you will already be having a network connection. So we can do ping dash C5, no C3 and something like 8.8.8. So we are getting a response, so that means we are having an internet connection. So if you're on Wi-Fi, you can use IWCTL. So IWCTL, and here you can do like station list. So what this will do is this will give you the name of your device. For example, like WLAN 0. So after getting the device name, you open up, like you just type station WLAN 0 space scan. So what this will do is this will scan for available networks. Then you can do station WLAN 0 like station WLAN 0 and get dash networks. So this will give you the name of available Wi-Fi networks near you. So after this you can use station WLAN 0 connect, and you can specify your Wi-Fi name. So for example, network name. So if you do that, it's going to ask for your the passphrase, and you can hit exit to exit out of that. We are going to do is we are going to make our file system. Before that, I'm going to enable parallel downloads. So vim/hc pacman.conf. So if you go down a little bit, you can see like parallel downloads. So depending on your network speed, you can keep this number. So I'm going to change it to 3 because my internet connection can be unstable sometime. So escape :WQ to save and exit. Control L to clear the screen. If we do an LSBLK, we can see like we have these drives. So 20 gigabyte drive VDA is the partition which I'm going to install Arch. So if you're having something like SDA or SDB, you change accordingly wherever I use VDA. Let's create our file system using fdisk. So fdisk/dev/VDA. For you, maybe SDA or SDB, you do it accordingly. So we need a GPT label for UEFI boot. So we hit G for getting a GPT label disk partition. Now we hit N for new. First sector is okay. Like partition number, first sector is okay. Last sector will be like plus 500 megabytes. You can see the Linux file system type. So we need to change that by using T. So we hit T to change the type of this file system. Then we hit 1 for changing the Linux file system to EFI file system. Now we hit like clear the screen. Now we hit N for new. Then partition 2 is fine. First sector is fine. Last sector is also fine because I'm not going to create a swap. So if you want a swap, you can create it over here. Then we can hit like W to write the changes to disk. Now if we do an LSBLK, you can see VDA have been partitioned to VDA1 and VDA2. Make our file system, so mkfs.vfat for the boot partition, because the boot partition requires FAT32 file system. So vfat/dev/VDA1 for my case. You change to SDA or SDB according to your use case. So the next thing is we are going to create an ext4 file system for our root root partition. So mkfs.ext4/dev/VDA2. So if we do like an LSBLK, We can see VDA2 is having 19.5 gigabytes, which is going to be used for our root partition in this case. So mount slash dev slash VDA2 with the mount point slash MNT. Now we need to create a directory called boot inside slash mount like mkdir, then slash mnt slash boot. Now we mount our boot partition VDA1 mount slash dev slash VDA1 to slash mnt slash boot. You can see the results of lsblk have changed. We need to like install, so we use backstrap slash mnt, so which is our root partition or root volume. Then we need to install base. So base is a package which contains the necessary user space, utilities, init, and all those things. Next thing we need is our kernel. So for this one I'm going to use Linux mainline Linux kernel, so I can leave it as it is. If you want something like Linux sen or something, you have to specify that over here. So LTS sen, whichever you want to use, you have to specify like Linux-sen or Linux-LTS. Then Linux-firmware for our firmware packages. Then we can install a text editor. For my case, I'm using Vim. So if you want Nano or Emacs or something, you can use that over here. So the installation, like currently this will sync the repositories and start the installation process. So this is going to take some time. So I'll be back when like the installation process have been completed. You can see the installation process have been completed. So let's clear the screen with Control L. We can like generate our file system table using genfstab -U and /mnt, and we are going to add this information to /mount /etc and fstab or the file system table file. We can verify using cat. So if we use cat to display the contents of the fstab file, we can see currently we are having our root and boot partitions with a UUID. So our file system table have been generated automatically by genfstab arch-chroot to enter the chroot environment, arch-chroot and /mount, that is our mount point. So you can see a change in the prompt color. I'm going to create the symbolic link for my time zone. So ln-sf / its user share zone info / and I have to specify my time zone. For me it's Asia / Kolkata. So the first characters in Asia and Kolkata are in uppercase, so you have to replace your time zone accordingly. And we are going to add this information to /etc and time zone. So the link will be to /etc and time zone. Like we need to do some hostname configuration. So vim /etc /hostname. Here I'm going to specify arch. You can pretty much specify anything over here. That's going to be your system's hostname. WQ to save and exit. Vim /etc and hosts host. So inside this file, we are going to specify 3 parameters for our networking. So first one is 127.0.0.1, a tab, and you can specify localhost. Then ::1 for IPv6, you can specify localhost again. Then 127.0.1.1 1.1 local, like your host name, that is arch for my case, dot local domain and a tab, and you can give like local domain, like localhost, I'm sorry. Now we save and exit, escape : WQ and set a password for our root user, so we do a passwd. We type our password 2 times, so we have set a password for our root user. So if we do a networkctl dash like space list, we can see the name of our network adapter. For this case, you can see ENP1S0. You may be having something different, or you may be having multiple adapters like ENP1S0 and WLAN0 or something. So you just remember the name under the link, and we are going to add network by using systemctl enable SystemD-NetworkD. So I'm not sure the package exact name, SystemD-NetworkD. No, oh, I'm sorry. So system sys, then enable SystemD-NetworkD. I'm not sure whether it's, yeah, SystemD-NetworkD. I'm sorry about that. So similarly, we have to enable systemd resolve D for our DNS. Okay. So you have to type the correct spelling. Then we need to configure the SystemD-NetworkD networkctl list. So our device name is ENP1S0 for my case. You just change wherever I use that name with your device name. We are going to open up the configuration file for SystemD-NetworkD. So that is available in vim/etc/system and network. There is a directory called network, net network. Okay. Inside this directory, we have to create a custom configuration. So one is for like wired and one is for wireless if you're having multiple adapters. So I'm on wired connection 20-wired.network, and here I have to specify a few parameters. So in square brackets, I have to specify match. So okay, M should be in uppercase, match, and I have to specify the device name. So name equals, and you specify your device name which was shown under link. So mine is like ENP1S0. Then inside square bracket, you have to specify network with N uppercase. Then you have to specify like whether you're having a static IP or DHCP. So for me it's DHCP equals yes. If you're having static IP, I will leave a link in the description where you can go through and you can see how you can configure your static IP address. So if you're having a wireless connection, you have to add a configuration like vim/etc systemd network. Inside here you have to specify 25-wireless.network. So inside this, similar to like our previous configuration, we have to specify the name of our device. So for example, maybe it's WLAN0 or something. Then we have to specify network similarly. So if it's DHCP or static, you have to specify that accordingly. So DHCP equals yes. Then you can save and exit. I'm going to remove that file because I'm not having a wireless connection. RM, you don't need to do that if you have a wireless connection. Okay, let's get to localization. So vim/etc/local-gen. Here you pick your locale. So mine is ENUS-UTF-8. Okay, where is it? Somewhere over here. Okay, I have to delete the hash. So if you delete the hash or uncomment that file, like that part, that is going to be selected. Now you save and exit. So now we can do a local-gen. Okay, the next thing is we can specify our local.conf, so echo, and inside double quotes you have to type like lang in uppercase equals, and you have to specify a locale as seen above over there, so en underscore us. So en is smaller case, us is uppercase, so you have to type exactly like that, like which is shown above. So close that. Then we are going to add this information to /etc and locale.conf. So that's done. We can add a user add -m capital G to wheel group, because we need the user to have super user privileges wheel, and you can specify the username over here. If you add your user to wheel group, you will have super user privileges. So we type passwd and the username. So you just type password 2 times. This will specify a password for our newly created user, pacman -s. We are going to install base devel for like these are the development packages for compilation and all this stuff. So if you are not going to do that, you don't need to install base devel. You have to install sudo separately. You can install DOS FS tools for the file system, mtools. If you're having a Windows hard drive or something, if you want to connect to that, like connect that to your system, you have to add ntfs-3g package, and OS prober, and the next thing will be like linux-headers for kernel development. If you want to do that, it's a good idea to have it installed. Our bootloader, so UEFI boot manager, then IWD for our Wi-Fi. Then we can have DHCP-CD just in case if we mess up something. So this is going to take some time. So I'll be back after the download process have been completed. It's finished. Control L to clear the screen. We have to add the user to wheel group. So editor equals vim by sudo. So we need to give the proper permissions for the members of wheel group. So we go down and find this specific line, wheel all equals all. We have to delete this hash or uncomment it. So delete the hash. Then just be very careful, don't uncomment the line below that. You have to be like very careful over here. You have to uncomment wheel all equals all. Don't uncomment the line below no password. So that's going to create a lot more security issues. WQ bang to exit. We can install our bootloader by using bootctl-path equals /boot. Since we are already inside our /mnt, we don't need to specify like /mnt/boot. We just specify bootctl-path equals /boot and install. So we have our bootloader installed. Now we need to like do some configurations so that the system will know what to use, like which kernel and all these things. So we cd into /boot. So if we do an ls over here, we can see the initram fs, our VM Linux and all these things, but we are interested in the loader directory. So we are going to cd into the loader directory. So we have to edit a configuration over there, and we have to add a configuration inside and the entries directory. So vim space loader.conf. So by default, the timeout will be like commented. So if you need your system to boot by giving you an option to choose your kernel and your BIOS settings, you have to uncomment this by deleting this hash line, or else the system going to start immediately without giving an option to choose your operating system or your bootloader. Like, I'm sorry, operating system or your BIOS. So for my case, I'm just going to leave it as it is by default. So I'm just going to comment it and exit. Now we can cd into entries directory. So ls, so you can see this entries directory. We are going to cd into entries. Here if we do an ls, we cannot see anything because there is nothing. So we have to create configuration over here. For that, we are going to install our U code. So if you are on an Intel system, just install Intel-U code. If you are on an AMD system, just install AMD-U code. So I have installed the U code. Now vim space arch.conf to create a configuration file for the bootloader entry. So first thing is title. Here we specify the name which we want to have for our entry inside the bootloader. So title is going to be Arch. And we can specify our Linux. So Linux equals /vm linux with a C and -Linux. So if you're having some kernel like Linux N or Linux LTS, you have to specify that over here, like that, -LTS, something like that. Then, so if you do an initramfs -linux.img, that is your initramfs configuration for your Linux kernel. Then you can say options like options root equals, you can specify your root partition over here, /dev/vda2 for me. So SDA or SDB, whichever you are having, you have to replace that accordingly. Be very careful over here, or else your system won't boot. And we can give like read write permissions. So this is the part where you configure like things like LSM for AppArmor. So you add your boot parameters over here, like LSM equals Yama lockdown, all these things, you add that over here. You can do that in the future. Now you don't need to do that. I forgot to add the U code. Okay, I'm sorry. Specify initid over here, and I have to specify which U code I'm going to use. So initid slash tab slash intel-u code.img for Intel system. For AMD system, you specify amd-u code.img. So you have to do that accordingly. But if you haven't installed your U code, and if you give that line, it's not going to boot. Now save. Okay, save and exit. And cd into our loader and vim loader.conf. So here I'm going to change the default to arch.conf because that's the default configuration which we are going to use. So you change the name of your configuration. So I have used arch.conf inside entries. So if you have used some other name for your configuration, you just replace it accordingly. Then we are pretty much done over here. We can exit. You mount, if I can type correctly, -a. Then you can do like reboot to reboot your system. Over there you have it, your Arch Linux installation with SystemD-NetworkD and SystemD-Boot. So for like verifying I'm having an internet connection, I can show you a ping -c5 8.8.8.8. This is like the DNS for Google DNS. So I'm getting replies, so I'm having a network connection. So I hope this one was helpful. I hope you all have a wonderful day.